Welcome back to the second episode of the second season of Real College Reviews. I'm your host, Jude Bazerman. I'm joined by my friend, Annie. Annie, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, I'm Annie Gustaven. I'm going to be a junior at the University of Georgia. Typically, when you're doing this type of stuff, you say your name and your major and all that. One thing about UGA is that you're not guaranteed your major ever.
What do you even mean by that? Do you go in as a freshman undecided?
So I went in as a freshman and I had what's called a major path. So I was on a path to be an exercise sports science major. So I start taking classes that are going to put me on that path, put me on that track and stuff. But you can only apply. So you have to apply into your major. Yeah. So you can only apply into your major once you've fulfilled a certain number of classes.
Is that end of your first semester, end of your freshman year? What was that at least for you?
I was able to apply into it going into my second spring semester, so going into my fourth semester.
Okay.
Because for my specific major, I had to have taken Anatomy 1, Anatomy 2, Chemistry 1, Biology.
Too.
Yes. So I only finished taking Chem 1 this past fall. Right. So I was only able to apply into it. You have 3 chances to apply into it. So I got rejected in the first round.
Okay.
And at that point in time, I just had to think some things over, because if I reapplied into it and got rejected again, I'd be screwed at that point.
Because then is it kind of a first come first serve basis when it comes to applying for majors?
So not even first come first serve. So just for exercise sports science, it is the most competitive major at my school. So wow. I'm not shocked that I didn't get into it, which I was prepared for that reality. Yeah. So I had backup plans, which I'm still trying to figure out at the moment. But there was about a pool of 350 to 400 students that applied into it, and only 60 people get accepted.
Wow. So that's using my quick communications math skills, that's something lower than 20%, about that.
I was a little upset when I didn't get into it, because that's what I thought I was going to be doing and stuff, but I bounced back because there's certain majors that you don't have to apply into, which is nice. Okay. But the main ones that you're really looking at the school for, those are the ones you have to apply into. Those are the ones that are putting you on a direct path.
What are some of the top most popular majors that Georgia's known for?
So UGA is most known for its business school. So the Terry College of Business, I have a few friends that are in it and stuff. It's an incredible business school. You graduate out of it and you're landing a job
almost automatically.
Yeah, my one friend's brother graduated and in a job immediately. I know just from talking to other people, it's just an incredible, it's gorgeous also, the school itself is
physically the building,
the building, it's these 3, it's the nicest area on campus. It's right across from the main dining hall too. They have prime real estate, gorgeous building.
They're kind of the kings of the school on top.
Yeah, so if you're looking for business stuff, Terry is incredible. I know our Grady journalism is also pretty good. So there's a lot of really cool events and study abroads and stuff. Just the opportunities that you get at a school that big are insane.
Yeah, and then I think you touched on this a little bit, but you specifically, and I also want to touch on this because where we are in New Jersey, Georgia is pretty far geographically.
Yes.
So how'd you end up choosing the University of Georgia, and what were some other schools that were in that final consideration?
So when I was looking to apply to college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to stay in New Jersey. That was the one thing I knew for sure. I was I kind of just want to branch out, go away, not necessarily be where I would know a lot of people. But when I was looking at also the only other schools that I can really equate to Georgia that I looked at are probably University of Tennessee and University of South Carolina.
Right. Those are very popular as well.
Yes.
For kids coming from the north.
Yes. So those are the only 3 big rah-rah football schools that I looked at. Everything was else was smaller and stuff. So
you weren't just set on these big state
I just wanted
schools.
To go away, preferably south. So Georgia wasn't even on my list when I was applying. Georgia was the last school that I applied to. Because the shortest version of this that I can give, so my grandma, she told me, I was at her house one day, and this is when I was still applying to colleges and stuff. And she was this is such a random connection, but she's I have a school that you can go look at. You might as well just go check it out.
And it happened to be Georgia?
And it happened to be Georgia because her sister and her sister's family, they all live in Georgia, and it just so happens that her sister's son, so like my second cousin, he went to UGA. He like was very involved with like the basketball team there, and he's currently a graduate professor there. So
and that was the connection and how you found
so my grandma was like, he can give you a pretty good tour of this southern school. Like, he's been there for a while. Like, they live in Athens. Like, just go check it out. Like, you might as well. And I went down there and I just like fell in love with it. It's just like incredible.
And then you applied, you got it, and then
yeah,
how was that process? Like, when did you hear back from, when did you hear your decision back, and then when did you end up deciding by?
So I was deferred initially from Georgia, so that was kind of like, and like I wasn't set on Georgia though. I wasn't set on Georgia until I actually went and was on campus, because like as I said, it was like the last school I applied to. Like, it wasn't even on my roster, so I got deferred, and I was just like, oh well. But then I got accepted eventually, and I actually went. And because I got into University of South Carolina, I got into the honors college there. Yeah. So they invited me down for like this like honors college banquet and stuff. And my mom was like, you know what, like,
why don't we go to Georgia on the way down there? Yeah.
She's like, Georgia's literally like another 2 hours away. Like, let's just go check it out. Like, you got in. Like, I know that you're in the honors college at South Carolina, but like, let's just go see what like they have. So we go to South Carolina. We go to like the honors banquet, whatever. It's like nice. And then we drive down 2 hours to Georgia, and I'm literally there for like 10 minutes, and I was
and you just knew it was the place.
I was just like, oh my god. I visited UGA twice before making my decision. Once to meet my like long lost family and whatever, and be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, you guys exist down here.
The second time was that,
and the second time
South
was then.
Carolina.
So I actually decided that I wanted to go to UGA that day because we were in the bookstore. And like, we had just gotten lunch, and we're in the UGA bookstore. My mom's like, do you want to like get like a sweatshirt or something? And I was like, I kind of want more than just one sweatshirt.
That's probably one of the best, most random, kind of quintessential I found my college stories that I've heard so far on this show.
I was not expecting ever to end up there, but I'm so happy I did. So
that's honestly sometimes how the best things work out, where you don't expect it, and then it just kind of hits you. And then moving a little bit more towards life in the classroom. I mean, what have the quality of classes been like at Georgia? And I know it's a big state school.
Yes.
Are they big classes, or are they more toward the smaller side?
So most of my lectures have been massive, like 200, 300 people, which can be very intimidating, especially as a freshman. It is, I remember the first time I walked into my anthropology lecture, and that was like the first time I ever like was in a lecture room that large with that many people, and I was like, what do I even do in this situation? I don't know a single person in this classroom. It's not just freshmen. Like, you're in a class with freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and you don't know a single person in there, and there's like 299 other people. It's terrifying. But I just sat down, and I will admit that is one of the classes where I failed to make any friends. I just kind of like kept my head down, and I was like, whatever. And like, that's fine too. Like, I would say focus and like try to make friends no matter where you are. You want to like have connections, you want to have help in your classes, but focus on making those connections in your major oriented classes. So like anthropology, I just took that to fulfill like my like human relations requirement. I'm looking to make friends in my like anatomy and biology classes
for networking purposes, and even more than that too, like later down the line, junior, senior year, if you're in a class together as well,
those are the people that you're going to be like continuing your track with. Like, I'll say my friends that I made in like my Chem 1 class, like we just ended up all sitting at the same lab table, and like we all just like still text each other like now. Like, we actually like became friends like through our lab table. We all took Chem 2 together, like tried to get into the same classes, same lab, same recitations, and like me and my one friend, we have to take organic chemistry next semester. Like, we tried to get into like the same like lecture sections, like we all studied together and stuff. So it's really nice having like that group.
So even just more than, and I people use this term a lot, but even more than class friends, they're friends, and and that's a perfect segue into my next question, which is kind of gonna be like life in the classroom still.
Yes.
Are the students just on their phones, or are they pretty studious, studying all the time?
It depends. It depends a lot on the lecturer, I'd say, actually. So in your larger lecture, so I also was in some smaller classes. I've taken 2 classes where it was just like 20 people. I like the 20-person classes. You feel a lot more connected with the teacher. The one was pre-calc because I'm terrible at math and I had to just take that to fulfill a math requirement. Done. And then I took medical terminology, which was just like 20 people, very close with the instructor. I hated him, but you were close with him, so whatever. And like, I feel like those classes were a little bit easier to succeed in just because like you have a little bit more attention on you.
Yeah.
In the big lecture classes, though, I've had very good professors and very bad professors. The classes with very bad professors, you will see, or like the classes that don't matter as much, like not major-oriented classes, like people are watching Netflix, like on their phones. Like I'm like one of the people that like pulls out like the New York Times games. But then you have like some professors that are just like incredible. I can't like bring myself to be on my phone when I'm in their classroom. Like my biology professor I had this past semester, Dr. Pucko, like incredible, like took in every word she said. My anatomy 1 professor, who I'm like kind of like a TA for now, he's like the best professor I've ever had. Like I've never had a better teacher than him in my life.
So it's really just a mix from what you're saying of the quality of professors at Georgia.
Yeah, and like I've seen though, like throughout like classes and stuff, like it really depends on the lecturer, like the engagement of the students too. You can tell other like teachers just come in and they like stand there and they're like, all right, this is what we're doing today. And I'm like, you thought about this 5 minutes ago in the car. Like,
no, it's really the same every big school that I've had on, Delaware, Rutgers, my own experience at Syracuse. It's really just been the same exact thing. And I'll just ask you this, not even as a college question. Is Georgia the Deep South, at least Athens, or?
Okay, not Athens. Athens is very progressive, actually. So, like, I love Athens. The whole, like, downtown area is, like, very awesome. The school itself is, like, pretty progressive, I'd say. But you do have, so a majority of the people at UGA, it's a state school. They're all from Georgia.
You're right.
Like, I feel like every single person that I talk to at UGA is either from Georgia, New Jersey, or Texas. I don't know why.
So
every single person that I talk to is from one of those 3 places, mostly Georgia. So I would say, though, I do know some people like that are from like the Deep South. Like I have a few friends that have like the thick like Southern accent and stuff. But I'd say for the most part, like you're seeing people from North Georgia, outer Atlanta area.
Those
like
are mostly urban.
Yeah, a lot of urban areas. But I do have a few friends that like will speak to me. Like I can remember like the first time that like some of my friends spoke to me, and I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, you exist. Like
I was down in Texas for a conference earlier this year, and it's like it was a lot of Louisiana, Mississippi people, and it's like you sound like you're from a different world. But I asked that because culture-wise, was it any challenge adjusting from New Jersey all the way down to Georgia, even though it's still kind of an urban feel?
I will say the Southern hospitality is like insane. Like I love Southern hospitality. Everybody down there is just so nice. Like everything is also like very like slowed down. I feel like no matter where you are, like I remember the first time like I went out to eat, like our waitress, like I went out with like my mom and dad. Everybody down there talks like so much slower, just like takes their time. Everything just like seems so much more laid back and like relaxed and stuff. I remember our waitress was like calling me like sweetheart, and like it's like all about like the grits and I was just sitting there and I was like, this does not feel like I'm like even in like the US right now.
Yeah,
I was like,
this is
insane.
A different world almost.
And yeah, it's just like everybody there's like so nice though. Like for the most part,
Southern hospitality rather is a real thing, and
it is real.
I think that's really interesting because I've heard both ends of that argument, and that kind of also perfectly transitioned into what are some of the typical characteristics of a student at Georgia? I mean, you said from New Jersey, Georgia, or Texas mostly. And then do you see yourself as someone who fits in easily at Georgia, or do you kind of stick out like a sore thumb?
So I think that I fit in pretty easily. There's so many different niches down there. The undergraduate class at UGA is, I haven't looked in a while. It's like 30,000 something.
So it's like a Rutgers humongous size school.
I think it's like around 30,500 students, something crazy like that. Not all 30,500 students are going to fit into one category that is like UGA. Yeah. You have like sorority, fraternity, people that are involved in like student government, like homecoming team, and then you have people that are like there's so many things. Like you wouldn't even like believe how many things there are. So I've tried out like a decent amount of stuff being down there. I'd say that I don't stick out. I feel like everybody just kind of like moshes in together. Like, I wouldn't say there's like one person that I'd be like, oh, you don't belong here. Like,
and that's always good to hear, because even at a school like Syracuse, where I think for the most part people fit in, there's still always those people that stick out where it's like, huh, do you really go here? And it's more like you don't really talk to anyone. You kind of have no friends, not because it's anyone else's fault, just because like you don't go out of your way to talk to people. But at some of the smaller schools, it's really like niche and
yes,
kind of toxic say, like, culture.
One of the things about being at such a big school is that, like, as opposed to a small school, is like people are so intimidated by the big school thing. Like, I was very intimidated by the big school thing, but because I was like, I'm not gonna find anybody. I was like, there's too many people here. Like, I'm not gonna like find anybody to like be friends with and stuff. I feel like it's almost opposite with like the small school, because like at a small school, I feel like everybody would know everybody.
And I've heard that.
And I don't want that. Like, I don't want people to know who I am. I want my friends to know who I am. I don't want like other people like knowing that. It's so nice because it's not like I'm walking to class and every other person I see, I'm like, ooh, I recognize you. I don't want that. So yeah, it's like so nice, because also like in my friend group, I don't have any classes with any of my friends that are like in my group, which I honestly kind of like, which like I have like my friends that like are in my classes, but then like my friend group,
that's what you're saying about class friends. And
it really helps me to separate like school from my social life, which I appreciate, because I feel like I'd be stressed out all the time if it wasn't that way. But yeah, it's honestly, it's so nice for me, like having such like a big environment that I feel so like close in.
Yeah, and that's what people a lot of the times don't realize about big schools as well, that you could kind of make it smaller, right? So you know, small. If you're, like you said, an exercise science or a biology major, you're not going to interact with the journalism majors that often, or the business majors, which again, people don't really realize until you actually set foot on a college campus. And speaking about setting foot onto a college campus at Georgia, what is the campus like? I assume it's pretty big, but aesthetically, I mean, what does it look like walking around Georgia, and when's the best time of year, looks-wise, and I guess vibes-wise as well?
I will say you're always going uphill. Like, there's not a downhill on campus. That is the one thing. When you first get there in August, like, our classes start August 12th, I'm pretty sure.
So it's like 2-3 weeks earlier than a lot of other schools.
Yeah, that's one thing about Georgia. You start very early, which I had the shortest summer of my entire life. Right, the first year I went.
We ended like June 20-something.
So late. I literally had like a month-long summer. It was terrible. But yeah, it is like 100 degrees and you are always going uphill. I don't know how, even when you get to like the top of a hill and you're like, oh, I can go down now. No, you're not. You're still going uphill. But the campus itself is gorgeous. I will say the science area, except for like our like one science library, like that's a fantastic building. It's gorgeous. Everything else though is like the sciences they don't focus on as much. They're redoing the chemistry building, have been redoing it for like 2 years now. Don't know when it's going to be finished, but like the physics building, disgusting. A lot of like the sciencey buildings, like there's kind of not like disregarded, but like they're focusing on the money makers, like Terry College of Business. So like Terry is beautiful. That is like right by North Campus, and North Campus is gorgeous. Like North Campus is like the original like UGA, like where it all started. That's like the one.
And UGA is an older school.
Yeah, so 1785. It is very old, and the old campus is just gorgeous. It's like, I would say when I first went there was in April, I'm pretty sure. That was like when I was like touring it and like made my whole decision like, oh, this is where I want to be. It was gorgeous then. Like, and it wasn't like blistering heat. It was like perfect weather, just like everything was in bloom. There's just so much like greenery and stuff around, so many flowers. Like the landscaping is gorgeous. Like,
so they really do a good job of upkeeping the campus.
Yeah, like it's very upkept, because it's not just like a college campus, it's like a tourist destination.
For
like,
people going to Athens.
Yes, like if like you will see, like, you feel like you're, the one thing I'll say, you do kind of feel like you're like in a zoo sometimes, because there is constantly, like, you won't go a day without seeing like either like a tour group coming through for like classes and like students
or
and
just
stuff,
actual
or just
tourists.
Literal like people, like, because it's an open campus, it's like part of the community. Like people walk their dogs around campus. People will like, you'll like see like people going on like dates, like adults like going on dates
in around the campus.
Yes, because it's beautiful though.
Yeah.
Like it's gorgeous.
Yeah, makes
sense.
And
yeah, it's really nice. It is massive though. We have a bus system. It's not the best.
Do you have to use that, or can you go by foot?
You can go by foot. A short walk to class for me is 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you use the bus frequently, or?
So yeah, so I live in an apartment, which I can get into that also with the housing situation and stuff. But I live in an apartment, and the closest bus stop to my apartment is like 15-minute walk, which honestly isn't terrible though. Like it's not the worst thing in the world. But from that bus stop, there's certain classes that I can take it to. Other ones that's just like not worth it to take a bus. It's just like just walk it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's honestly though, like it's not terrible. Like it sounds like a lot, but like you figure out how to make the time in your schedule to do it, and you just do it.
And again, most of those big schools, Syracuse, I've been had to use a bus every single day going from my dorm to the actual campus for classes, where it, like you said, it's just something you got to do. Yeah. And then, is there anything special about the campus? And I know you said it's beautiful and North Campus, but
yes,
is there like a sort of a landmark that people maybe gravitate towards, or that is your particular favorite?
I'll give one good landmark and then like one with like a little bit of funny stories.
Yeah, for sure.
Our stadium, massive. It is right like in campus.
Oh, so it's not like Miami where you have to take a bus. It's just smack dab in the middle.
And I'm so lucky. My apartment building is a 10-minute walk from it.
So
like,
game days,
game days are like the best thing ever. And it's just like right smack dab in the middle of everything. It's like so easy to access. Like on my walk to class, I see it every single day. And it's also really cool because we don't have, so like it has like risen up like bleachers and stuff, obviously. Like it's like sunken into the ground, and then you have like the bleachers rising up. But the school decided they could add bleachers all the way around, but they want to keep it open, so it's only 3/4 of the way of it is like filled with raised bleachers.
And why is that?
Because they want people to be able to look down into it and stuff. So like tourists come in and stuff, and like you literally like you're walking past it and you just see straight down into the field,
and it's just a clear kind of bird's eye type view.
Yeah. Which is like, honestly, like that's like one of the coolest things about the school. Like when I first went to go look at it and stuff, like my uncle was like, check this out. And I was like, that is the stadium, like right there. And he's like, not just the stadium. He's like, that's the field. And I was like, no way. But yeah, it's like very just like, I don't know. Like it's just crazy. I've never seen another school that like has it like that, which is like so cool.
I was going to say, because Syracuse, the dome where football and then basketball is played, it's in the middle of campus too.
Yeah.
And it's funny how they use that, and this is just me getting off topic, but on like Accepted Students Day, they have you down there on the field. They give you all the nice food that you never see at the dining halls.
Yep.
But it's funny. It is, like you said, that's what I like about it too, because you go from your dorm room, it's a 5-10 minute walk every single game day. You don't have to hop on a bus into the center of town or any of that nonsense. And you were talking about the housing situation before. As a freshman, how are the dorm rooms? Are they good? And then is it guaranteed? Because I feel like you alluded to that during your second year.
So I was not aware of that. Well, I'll start with the freshman dorms. I feel like most colleges, especially big schools, have like a tier of like dorms and stuff. Me and my roommate got really lucky because we were in the worst dorm and then somehow got switched into one of the best dorms. Wow. Don't know how that happened. I was not in charge of housing. Belle did everything. I didn't question it. But yeah, we ended up in Brumby. It was great. It's very small because there's so many people. So our dorm room was very tiny, just typical like raised like bunk bed style, but like it wasn't stacked, so it was like 2 top bunks, and then underneath like we had both of our desks underneath one and then our couch underneath the other. Like we made do with our space. There's a lot of different like living situations though. So like my friend Brianna, she was in a dorm room and it had like a sink in it and like full-size closets, and it was massive and it was really nice. Don't know how she landed that one. And then my other friend Scarlett, she lived in a dorm with one other girl, but it was like an apartment style living, but that's also very displaced. Like the apartment style living, that's by the gym because all the athletes are housed there.
Makes sense.
So she just happened, that's where Sean was also. He was in a place like this.
Interesting.
So it's called East Campus Village, and it's like a collection, I think it's 5 dorms in this area, and it's like you have a kitchenette and you usually have like your own room and bathroom, which is really nice, and then like a little shared living space. So we do a lot of stuff over there, but the only issue with that is that it's so far away from everything else. So like if we ever like pregame there to get downtown, it's then like hard. It's like a 20-minute like ride to get downtown. Like walking, it would take like an hour. Wow. Yeah.
So it's really big, like you were saying. And
yes.
Then I want to hear about like the whole situation. So it's you just can't get a dorm as a sophomore and beyond?
You're only guaranteed housing your freshman year, which was something I was unaware of, but it makes sense because you have to house like all these freshmen.
30,000. Well, 30,000 total. So.
Yeah. So you can't, but you can't house 30,000 people is the point. But I don't know what the number of like incoming freshmen is. It's some crazy amount, and there's really just enough room for all those people. Yeah. And you can live on campus, but it's like extenuating like circumstances type thing. Like you have to apply for that. So I actually found out about the whole like housing situation because like on the UGA 2026 story, I'm like flipping through it, and this is like early October of my freshman year, and I'm like seeing a lot of people posting like, hey, just sign this lease, like, hey, looking for a roommate, hey. And I'm like, well, and I say to my friends, I'm like guys, I was like, why is everybody like is this like normal? And my roommate Belle, because she had done like fall rush and like she was already in the sorority and stuff, and she was like, oh my gosh, she's like, you guys didn't know, she's like, you guys have to like find somewhere to live in like 2 weeks or else like we ended up signing our lease October 15th
of your freshman year.
Of my freshman year.
So you've known these people for, well, I guess 2 months because you started early.
I signed my lease with my one friend Brianna, who's like I'm super tight with, like, and like I'd been tight with her, like we became really good friends like before going to school, like we met on Instagram, like started Snapchatting and stuff, like became super close with her before even getting to the college. And then this other girl Scarlett, who Brianna was like friends with, and I only really knew for like a month, and I was like I'm not really sure who this person is, but like she'll fill a spot in the apartment. But I love Scarlett, she's like the best, she's like one of my best friends down there, so it all worked out. But it's just crazy thinking, it's just
stressful.
Well, because like I know some people that just like had like roommate like horror stories and stuff from this past year, and like I'm just like, if that happened to me, like I don't even know what I would have done. Like I'm so lucky that like my friends are normal. Like you just hear like stories about like people, and you're just like, why would who even thinks to do this stuff? It's insane.
Yeah, some of the stuff I've heard on this show is wild, and then tying into dorm rooms is the dining halls. Again, I always say this when I introduce the topic, but I always get usually pretty bad feedback about dining halls at colleges. What was it like at Georgia? And then with dining hall plans, did you have to get an unlimited one as a freshman, or did you kind of get to choose?
UGA dining halls are really good.
First time I've heard that.
Not to like flex, I like miss my meal plan. It was really good. We have 5 dining halls, which is also really nice. So you have so much variety. The main dining hall, Bolton, it's like low-key, that one was like the most mid, but it's massive. It's like 2 stories. There's like 20 different like options of like places to go, and like the menus are always changing and stuff, so you just have like a wide variety. My favorite was O House. They had like a place that was kind of like Chipotle. It was called like O Hacienda. They had really good burritos and stuff, and like they have so many options too, like for like accommodation for like vegan, like gluten-free. So like I don't eat red meat, so I like would always be looking for like a chicken or like a tofu option, and they always had that. Like you weren't like,
and it was good food too.
Oh,
like,
it was
good?
Really good. Like, yeah, I miss like the burritos from O Hacienda. It's sad, but yeah. So your freshman year though, you don't have to get an unlimited meal plan.
Most people
do. I did, and then I did my first semester. My second semester, I got like I think it was like the highest level that you could get. It was like the most number of meal swipes
not
that you get. Not unlimited. So like that saved us about like, I don't know, like $200 maybe, like 150. Like it was something, and like I ended up using like, I've like used all of that, and I wasn't going hungry. And then this past year, so fall, when I moved into the apartment and stuff, because I have a full kitchen now, and I was like, okay, I don't really need all of, like, I'm not just gonna be eating dining hall food.
Right.
Like I have my own kitchen, so I did the lowest number of meal swipes, which I think was like 120 or something
for the whole semester.
It was like 90 for like the full semester, which like I
once a day about.
Yeah, and like I used almost all of it. Like I tried to go to the dining hall like as much as I could between classes and stuff, but like I mostly meal prepped, and like I ate dinner at home every day, and then I just didn't have a meal plan this past semester because it just wasn't as worth it. So
yeah, probably saved a lot of money too.
Saved a lot of money. Like my mom gives me, before I got rid of the meal plan, I had like a $100 grocery budget each month. She would send me like $100 the first of the month, but then when I got rid of the meal plan, she bumped it up to $150, but also saved herself like a lot of money because that's only like $200 extra that she was like giving me.
The meal plan is just so much.
The meal plans are crazy. Greek life is a very big thing, so this can also be.
Most students are in Greek life.
I wouldn't say most students, because it's not like, as I said again, it's like the undergrad is like 30,000 people. Like you're not having 30,000 people in Greek life.
Yeah,
it's definitely like one of those like niches, as like I before mentioned, like sorority fraternity life. So I decided that I wasn't going to rush when I first went there.
Okay.
Because I was terrified of doing that. Did not want to do that. I heard stories, seen stuff online. I was like, that is not for me. And then I got there and I had such bad FOMO, especially with like my roommate just having done Rush and stuff. And I was like, damn, I was like, I like don't have any friends. I was like, I hate this. I'm so lonely. Everything that she does looks like so much fun. Like, this is awful. Because a lot of stuff, like, it's not just Greek life, but it seems like, especially as a freshman, because so many people are doing it, it seems like that's the only thing that you have to do. So my first semester there, I still did a lot of stuff. Like I joined clubs. I was a member of this one club called like Rescue Paws. I'm not a member of it anymore because I just didn't have time to attend the meetings, but I still volunteer at the animal shelter weekly and stuff. So there's a great animal shelter. I miss my dog. I go there like once, twice a week and just play with dogs. And it's awesome. Get some volunteer hours in. Like it's incredible. What else? Like I just like hung out with like my other friends that I made. Like as of right now, I only have a few friends. Like in my friend group, only like 3 people are in Greek life.
Oh wow, it's that out of like
my friend group that I have right now, it's like 9-10 girls, and like only 3 of them.
So it's only a fraction.
Life. Yeah, so it's like it's not all consuming, and I feel like you don't realize that though until your sophomore year, because I didn't realize that. And my freshman year, I went through my first semester and I like went to a date night with my roommate because she took me, and I had so much fun. Like it was just so much fun. And I like decided that night that I was gonna do spring continuous open bidding. It's just like called like COB, and it's where if you know enough people in the sorority, and like this is like I'm gonna like say stuff without saying stuff, like it's very selective. They make it seem like it's not selective. They're like, oh my gosh, it's like spring open bid, like everybody like come. Like no, they like already have a list of who they're going to let in and stuff, but like they can't say that because like that'd be like against like Greek life stuff for the most part. I'd say that's why if you are considering going to UGA and doing Rush, it is good to do it in the fall, even though it's miserable and I would never want to do that. Put yourself through it. But yeah, so I did spring COB. It was so easy. I literally went on 2 coffee dates and they were like, we love you, come join us. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh, really? And I loved it. I don't have a single negative thing to say about it. Like I genuinely like everybody that I met, I made so many friends through it. One really nice thing about it was going into those lectures that were like 300 people.
You probably know someone.
You then go into those lectures and you see a group of 5 girls that you know and you go sit with them. Yeah. And it was like very nice for like studying and stuff. And like I got so lucky with like my little, like I absolutely adore her, like even though she's like not technically like my little anymore, like she rushed as a sophomore, which you can also do that. Like you don't have to rush your freshman year. Like you can wait a full year. So like one of my really good friends, Chloe, my little Hannah, they both waited until they were sophomores and they both joined DG. But like it was so nice having Hannah though, because like we're on like a very similar track with school and stuff. So like we'd always do homework and like study and stuff together. So making those connections was just very beneficial through it. But that's like Greek life is like very fun, especially in the spring, like with spring parties and stuff. You don't have to be in a sorority to like go to spring parties. I will say girls get preference at UGA. If you're a girl, you can do anything that you want. I cannot speak for men as much, but if you're a guy and you want to go to like those parties and stuff, you should be in a fraternity. That's the one thing that sucks about it. It's just like the like facts of it though, like that's just how it works. But spring parties though are so much fun. They like send out a schedule, because that's another thing about UGA, it's very safe, and especially with like recent events that have like happened there and stuff, like police security and stuff has like increased so much, but the police aren't there to like dull your fun.
They're just there to help.
Yes, so like you go into a party and like they're like bouncers basically at frat parties.
The actual cops.
Yes, like the actual like UGA police like will be there like letting people in and stuff, because they just want to make sure that it's students that are going in and that like there's nothing bad happening, which honestly is like nice, because like you know that they're not going to be like, they know that everybody that's going in is like under 21. They're just there to make sure that you're like having fun, being safe. So yeah, like the spring parties are just so much fun. There's always like random like concerts and stuff. There's this one like really big like event called Shower Cap, and it's like this big like music festival hosted by a fraternity, and there's just music and you get all dressed up.
Cool
like
stuff to do.
UGA is a very dressy school. You are dressing for occasions. I feel like that's how a lot of southern schools are. Right. Football games up north, you go in like jean shorts and like a like crop top and stuff. You are wearing like a full length maxi dress.
And then guys wear suits sometimes too, I see.
Yeah, it's like always like the nice like button ups and stuff. Like, but it's fun though. Like you are sweating your ass off and it's like miserable. Like you feel like you're melting half the time, but like it's so much fun. Like especially like for like the girlies, like getting ready with your friends and stuff, like in the apartment and like getting all dressed up and like switching like outfits and stuff. Like I love it. I think that it's really fun, and it just like gives you like something to dress up for. It's like a little like event. But yeah, like a lot of the spring parties, you wear like a sundress, or like the guys will wear like the nice button ups and stuff. And like, but then you also have like your trashier spring parties. So I was a member through my sorority. We went to this event called Tau Tug, and it's like a giant like tug of war that happens in a mud pit. That was really fun.
But you're not dressing up.
You were not dressing up for that. I was in like, I threw out all the clothes that I wore to that. Everything got tossed in the garbage afterwards. Yeah, absolutely disgusting. But it was one of the most fun days I had, like, at school. Yeah, there's just always something to do.
Yeah, and then in terms of other stuff to do, right, on campus or even nightlife at Georgia, say you're not in a fraternity or sorority, or it's just not your thing, you know.
So I'm no longer in a sorority, so I can speak on that also. But I wasn't when I first got there. So downtown, you literally will step 5 feet and there is a bar every single place that you go to.
So there's even stuff to, like, you're over 21, you're kind of past that Greek life party stage.
Yes, there's like senior bars and stuff. Like it's not just like for underclassmen, like everybody is downtown. Like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like it is like slammed down there. And like I'm a bartender and stuff, so like that's like a whole other side of things. Like it's so much fun to like interact with people and like see everybody that's coming in and stuff. And like I can say as a bartender too, like it's not just like sorority girls that are coming in and stuff. It's every single person that goes to this school is coming in and stuff. Like you just go out with your friends and have fun. And like one thing about Georgia is that it's a college town. The drinks are so cheap. Like you are getting dollar wells. Like I know like in a lot of other city schools and stuff, it's like,
jack up the price.
It's like $5. It's like $10 to enter the bar and then pay like $7 for a singular drink. No, it's free entry. You're getting dollar drinks, dollar shots. Like no, it's incredible. Like it's like stupid. And then like I have my half off card for being a bartender at the bar that I work at. I'm getting 50-cent drinks, 50-cent shots. It's like brutal.
You can't even see that. You're not seeing that anywhere else.
Oh no, it's insane. And it's just like such fun like nightlife and stuff. Like I've become a much more tame person sophomore year, like especially with the apartment and stuff. Like I love like game nights with my friends. Like that's our big thing right now. We'll do like game nights, movie nights, just like hang in, like, but like every once in a while, like we probably go out like once every other week. Like it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
That's also too a whole nother thing about college, where it's like there's almost stages year by year that you go into different things. But say you're not into frat parties or even going out to bars. Is there stuff to do that maybe the university puts on at night?
So much stuff. They always have like bingo and stuff at the one hall, and like they have like all these prizes and stuff. I know me and my roommate, we went to like, it was like drag queen bingo, which was so much fun, and we won so much free stuff. It was actually incredible. When you, like they'll always have stuff, like we have like Myers Quad, they'll have like mini like carnivals and stuff there sometimes. There's just so many clubs. Like the gym is also open late, and like the gym is awesome. They have so many classes and stuff. They have one week each semester called like Fitness Free Week, where you can like take free fitness classes, like unlimited.
I guess this is what do you have to pay for classes then if you say you want to like take a yoga class?
For the gym, it's also the one thing about Ramsey, it's awesome. I worked there my freshman year. It's a great place, but it's also public, so it is like the university's like gym and stuff, but it's also open to the public.
Oh, like,
so like
people from Athens.
Yes, so like people from Athens, but like it's such a nice gym. Like that's why it's open to the public. Like it's great. I don't use it anymore just because of how far it is from where I live, and my apartment has a gym, so like why would I be traveling 30 minutes to go work out when I can walk downstairs? But Ramsey's awesome. They have so much stuff to offer there. There's always stuff, like we have a movie theater. I've gone to see like 4 movies.
Like a University of Georgia movie theater?
Yeah, it's like it's like inside of our student center. The student center has like 6 pool tables. It has like a giant game room, like any like video games. It has like a Pac-Man machine and stuff. Like there's just so much stuff. Like I could just like keep going. Like it's insane. There's always, and like I didn't have a car my freshman year either. like without a car, I kept myself entertained on campus for an entire year. My sophomore year, I had a car. I could do stuff outside of campus.
And is there stuff to do, like if you drive even outside of Athens, is there stuff surrounding, or is Athens kind of in the middle of nowhere?
Athens is in the middle of nowhere. I will say, like, you drive out 10 minutes and it's just like countryside, like giant like signs like guns, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually in the South. But yeah, Athens itself though, like you can drive to places in Athens though. Like it's like a big city, and it's like nice for like going, well, you also like you can like downtown is right across the street from campus. Like you can always walk out to dinner and stuff, especially as a freshman being on campus and stuff. But like it was really fun though. Me and my friends would go on hikes a lot this past year. There's like North Georgia, like an hour 15 minutes away from campus, so many like gorgeous mountains and like state parks and stuff. So like we would go on a bunch of hikes. I know that there's great places for like whitewater rafting and stuff.
Really?
Like,
That's cool.
Yeah, there's like a really good like nature scene there, and like I love hiking and I love just being outdoors. It's like the place to be for that type of stuff.
I wouldn't even expect that in Georgia, which is again, that's why I do these, because I always I just learned so much. And then also something I gotta ask about too, right? So it seems like Georgia has everything that Greek life, college town bars, which it always ranks on top of every single list that I see.
Yep, Athens is the best place to be.
It's 1 or 3 or somewhere really high up there. So it has that. It has the aspect where if you're not in, going out that much, it still has stuff to do. It has stuff outside of campus too that's within an hour drive. So I gotta ask, in terms of the sports scene, Georgia won the national championship when we were seniors in high school, and then they won again your freshman year. And then they came very close this past year.
The saddest day of my life.
I mean, I just gotta ask about the football scene, and then if you could just maybe run me through a day in the life of a Georgia home game. I mean, the Southern experience has got to be so much different.
So I'll run through it as like a freshman, because that's who this is for. I will say I did prefer my sophomore year experience, but freshman year, so much fun too. You wake up, let's say prime game time is always going to be a night game, but you rarely get those just because like they're also so expensive to put on. So let's say you're going to a 3:00 game. That's the most like typical that you're going to get. You wake up usually at like 8 on those mornings.
That early.
Yes. And like you need to go get breakfast. You need to go eat. You need to like get something in your stomach or else you will die. Like hydrate. It's going to be like 100 degrees. You're going to hate yourself. So you eat, drink so much water, get back to your dorm, and you put on your dress or your button up, whatever you're wearing that day. Like you get yourself all ready. I'd say by like 10:30, like you want to be out the door and headed to Millage Avenue. That's where all of the sorority and fraternity houses are lined up. And then you just hop around frat houses for like 3 hours. There are always people with like catered like Chick-fil-A, like cookouts, like just tubs filled with like beer and like White Claws, huge tailgates, and the tailgates have like events too. I went to one that had a pig roast. I threw axes at one. Like they'll have like there was like a mechanical bull one time. Like it's so much fun, and like there's just music. Like they hire bands to play. They'll hire like Kona Ice to like come sit, and it's all free. Like you just show up and like you just like exist and you walk around. Like that's what the frats are for. They pay for you to have a great time. It's excellent. You're a girl. You just like go have fun, and then so all the buses are shut down on game days. That's the one thing that's terrible. But
how would you even get around if you need to get a
walk
bus?
A lot. You are gonna be getting like 15,000 steps on a game day. It is crazy. So yeah, you walk all the way down Millage. You hit all the frat houses. It's a fun time. Have some drinks, and then you head over to the stadium. You are going to be sitting in the student section. Let's say the game's starting at 3. You want to be at the stadium, especially for a good game. Let's say you're playing like Tennessee at 3:00. You want to be there at 1.
Okay, that's not as horrible as I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's earlier, but I'd say 1 for like a 3:00 game, pretty good. But then you're sitting there for like 2 hours directly under the sun.
In the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock heat.
You are melting. It's terrible, but you got to like fight for your spot in the bleachers, especially if you want to like be in like the good student section. Like, and then the game starts, and we have all these traditions, all these chants and stuff, as I'm sure a lot of other schools do. But like, I love our traditions. I love our chants. Like, I'm a big fan of them. They're fun. We go through all of those, and the game starts. Like, there's like this huge like jumbotron thing. They like have like a whole like video that plays, brings a tear to my eye. It's fantastic. Yeah, and then the game starts, and everybody's going crazy. And if you're lucky, it's a really good game. I will say one thing. This year's going to be awesome. We have an awesome lineup this year.
Yeah.
In the past, it's been okay. It's been like half and half. But like our team is really good.
Yeah. So they just blow some teams out of the water.
Some teams, it's like you leave at halftime because it's like up by like 40 points and you're like why am I melting right now? Let's go home. Like good games, like you're like on the edge of your seat, like screaming. Like the Tennessee game, that was the loudest recorded game at our stadium ever. Like that was my freshman year when my parents came to visit. Like I was like up and like we got there 2 hours early and I was in like the nosebleeds. They oversold tickets. Like they kicked people out.
I remember that
like,
was the game. You were watching that from Syracuse too. Number 1 ranked Tennessee, 2
because that was
Georgia,
after Tennessee had beat Bama
Alabama.
in that field. Yeah, like that was insane too. Tennessee was playing us after they beat Bama in that game, so like that's why it was absolutely like it was batshit. I've never witnessed anything like that. I mean, other than like the national championship game, but like I wasn't at the game. Like I was just downtown watching it. And then you finish the game though, like usually you have to stay until fourth quarter. You can leave after fourth quarter, but between third and fourth, they do like this whole like light show and it's so much fun, especially if it's like a night game. The entire stadium is like lit up. I have like goosebumps right now. It's so much fun. But then as soon as that's over, you can dip if you want. If it's an exciting game, stay for it. But if it's boring, like dip after that. It doesn't matter. Then you go back to your dorm, get yourself like refreshed. Usually you're gonna want to change out of your like soaking sweaty dress and like take a quick shower, eat dinner, and then hop on a bus, like, or you can walk. We have a night campus bus that goes straight to the dorms and takes you downtown. Yep, hop on the night campus bus and then you are downtown for the rest of the night. So that's a game day.
And that's so much more than, you know, especially Syracuse, especially because usually in the games that are 40 points, we're the ones getting blown out. So we head out there. And then I got to ask too, especially a school like Georgia, where the football team is such not only popular within the school, but it's such a cultural icon in the area. Season tickets for students, are they easy to get, or is it a competitive process?
So as a freshman and senior, you're guaranteed all the games. As a sophomore or junior, you get a half package. So you pay for... Each game is $10, which is really nice.
Wow. Yeah. That's a good price.
You know, it's insane. So like my freshman year, I paid $70 and got all 6 home games. Like it's a fantastic deal. This year, so like you pay, like I'm gonna pay like either $30 or $40. It depends on if I'm getting the 3-game package or the 4-game package. And I just get 3 of the games or 4 of the games.
Is it random?
It's random. You can trade with people, though. It becomes a bloodbath, especially for, like, big games.
I'm sure if there's
stuff,
Alabama's coming to town or any of those schools.
Yeah. There are certain games I have my eye on that I need to be... I gotta be there for the homecoming game, and I have to be there for the Tennessee game. Those are the only 2 games that matter to me. I need those games.
And I gotta ask this, too, because Georgia's, you know, football is what they're known for, but are any other sports on campus popular that students go to?
I will say... Our baseball team is doing really well right now. I'm not a baseball fan, but our baseball team is doing really well right now. I don't know, like, why, but, like, they're doing super good. So shout out UGA baseball. But our basketball games are really fun. I've been to a few basketball games. Our gym, like, our gymnastics meets, like, those are also really fun. But, like, yeah, football's the big thing. Like, that's what people are going to see.
Nothing really compares to that.
Yeah, no, nothing compares to it. Like, the other sports are good and they're fun and stuff, but, like, you're going to Georgia to watch football.
Yeah, and again, it makes sense. This is just one final question I have from earlier. I don't know why it just sparked in my brain now, but are there a lot of international students at UGA?
Yeah, there's a lot of international students. I will say, like, a lot of them live at ECV just because of, like, the housing situation, because a lot of them don't get to go home for winter breaks and stuff.
So it's nice to have that apartment.
Yeah, so, like, they have the apartment living style. They have, like, the kitchenette and stuff. So I didn't meet a lot of them, but... When Sean was there, actually, like in his apartment situation, he had, I think, 1 or 2 international students that was in his unit. So, like, I met them and then I met their friends and stuff. And one of the girls, Yulin, actually ended up joining DG, which I didn't even know that she had been rushing. And I saw her on bid day and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I haven't seen you in like a year. And like, she was really good friends with my little, which it was funny. But I was just like you make all these like little connections though. Like that's like the point I'm trying to get at. Like this girl that I had met maybe like 3 times my freshman year and was like the sweetest person ever. Did not see her for a full year, and then she's like besties with my little, and like we became really close after that point through like the sorority. So it's really great having those connections.
And it's cool how a lot of school like Syracuse, the international kids kind of stick to themselves a little bit. And it's good to see at Georgia
when they branch out.
Yeah, and again that goes for all students as well. Where if you, I think this is a greater theme of college in general, if you just stick to yourself, there's not going to really be that much benefit. And these stories that you've shared and that I have as well, they wouldn't happen if you don't go out of your comfort zone. And then as we wrap up here, and this is the question you were telling me you were preparing for earlier.
Oh, let me get into my notes app. I have it.
I just gotta hear, especially because you've shared so many positive, wonderful things about Georgia. If you could just describe it somehow in one sentence.
Yes. Okay, this is what I have written. I never thought, especially when applying to this school, that I could feel like so at home in a place that's so huge and loud and intimidating. But somehow in a group of 30,000 undergrads, you're going to fall into place and you're going to find your niche and your people.
And I think that's wonderfully worded. And because of all the activities you shared, whether it's Greek life or football games or volunteering or just finding friends through class or through other ways, like you said, it happens naturally.
Yeah, and I will say one big thing when you're applying, no matter where you're applying to, because this is especially me not having rushed or anything, I made my first friends through Instagram. Do not be afraid to talk to people on Instagram or like on whatever app that you find. Like join, I forget what the name, like what was that app?
My College
like,
Roomie?
My College Roomie or like Patio. Like I had Patio for UGA.
Two, yeah.
Like download that app and talk to every single person. Like the conversations are gonna be so stupid, like it's gonna hurt you to like have them. Like me and my freshman roommate, we were just in Europe, we like went back into our Instagram DMs and like we're reading through our first conversations that we had with each other. I was crying. Like I was like, this is painful. I was like, why are we in Europe together right now? I was like you should not have been friends with me. But you have to have those conversations because you need to like just reach out and meet people no matter how painful it's going to be, because that's how I made some of my best friends that I have there now.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I did none of that besides my roommate.
Yeah.
That's the only person I reached out to online, so it's good to hear another perspective. And
I think that it's great to have those painful conversations, especially if you're not doing like Rush or something like that. Like I made my friends through Instagram.
Yeah.
So.
And that's again also that's why this show's here, just for different perspectives and different views on everything. And then the last thing I always ask is if there's any advice for whether or not students going to UGA or just students going through the admissions process as general. Is there any advice that you want to share? Just kind of some final thoughts.
Just for overall, not just for UGA, but have a very open mind when applying to colleges. Like I said, I did not want to go to UGA. It was not on my list, but it was mentioned to me and I thought, whatever, I might as well check it out. And if you think that something's not going to be your vibe, just like stay true to yourself and like don't apply to it. But like if you're open to it, just take the chance and it might work out very nicely for you.
Yeah, I 100% agree. There were some colleges where I went on the campus and it was just like, yeah, this is not going to work. And no matter how prestigious the school is or however people have talked about it to you.
Stick to your gut. That's...
I 100% agree. And I think, again, even in college, that's the best feeling too.
Yes.
When your gut says something, you just got to stick with it. And I'll leave the listeners at that. Because, Annie, that's really all I had to share. Unless there's anything else you want to say, I just want to say, thanks for coming on and wish you the best of luck during the next 2 years at Georgia.